Hey guys, I'm Angela, you're watching Hobby Night, and this week 9th edition really kicks off with the first two codexes and the return of the king, baby. I don't know about you guys, but I've already went ahead and put in my pre-orders for both codexes and a number of those new miniatures that are coming out next weekend, with those pre-orders going live this week at my friendly local game store, and I hope you guys have too, because I'm super hyped. We got a lot of tasty new things shown to us this week. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at what was previewed out of the Necron and Space Marine codexes this week from Warhammer Community. Let's go ahead and start by looking at the Necrons and their Reanimation Protocol. You'll probably see the rules up on screen. I'm not going to go into super detail on the rules yet, mostly because next week we are going to be doing a review of both the Necron and the Space Marine Codex once we have them in our hands. So look forward to that, make sure to check that out. But for right now, let's kind of briefly go over everything that they talked about with the Reanimation Protocols, along with all the other things that they previewed. The thing that I think is the most interesting about these new Reanimation Protocols is, one, I think it definitely benefits the Necron player in the fact that they'll be able to actually make those rolls in 9th edition, because it's going to be much harder to completely wipe out a full unit nowadays for them because of the way that the new rule works. And I think that's great, because in 8th edition, you could just completely wipe them out, and because of when it happened, they wouldn't get anything back. Now there's an opportunity for them to almost always get stuff back, or at least have the opportunity to do that. And that's good, because it's kind of their thing. They should be able to use that in the same way that, say, Death Guard always are able to use their Disgustingly Resilient. I think this is really good. I also think it's really beneficial, of course, for the single wound models, but it's going to be situationally beneficial for your multi-wound models, and that's going to be very, very curious. I have already started thinking about ways that I'm going to be personally approaching, because I fight Necrons a lot because my husband plays them. I'm going to be thinking about ways that I need to approach attacking all of those destroyers, because with the new protocols, it's going to be interesting. I have to approach it in a different way, and I'm very excited about that, because I like where these new rules are going, and it's looking really, really good. But Reanimation isn't the only thing that we got previewed. We also got a look at how you can create your own dynasties. Of course, we knew that this would probably be coming. Space Marines can be making their own chapters, so why wouldn't Necron players be able to make their own custom dynasties? And how you're going to be able to do that is pretty simple. You're going to be choosing one dynastic tradition, and then you're also going to be choosing one circumstance of awakening. Now, they previewed one each of these, but I imagine we're going to be getting a lot more. So again, when that codex comes out, definitely interested to see what all those various options are and what combos you might be able to do to create some fun things for Crusade, honestly, because there could be some really cool narrative and thematic things that you could do building your own dynasty. So I think it looks pretty rad. We also got a just buff across the board to their weapons. And that's good. That makes me very, very hopeful for other Xeno races, as well as just Chaos and all of that, because it means that Imperium is not the only people getting buffs to their weapons. And I expected that to be the case. I didn't actually think that it was just going to be Space Marines, but seeing these buffs go across Necrons, very, very positive looking. And then also, we got a look at Cryptex. They got this whole long gear of the Warren previewed. No idea what any of them do, but I'm very interested to see that list once that codex is out. Now let's move on to the Void Dragon, because that mini is looking beautiful. I think it might be smaller than I originally expected, but not so too much so, but I do think it might be a little smaller than they originally sort of made it look like it would be. That's okay, he's still looking super potent. So he has 9 wounds. He may be untargetable. I don't know yet if he has the character keyword, but if he is, that's going to be really, really spicy. And then on top of that, he does have the rule that Thraka got, where he can only lose up to 3 wounds per phase, which is great. That means he's actually survivable, and I'm very curious to see if we're going to see that rule be applied to the other Satan shards. I personally really hope that we do. Once we get the Codex, we'll definitely know and everything like that. But he's looking fantastic. He's gonna hit like a Star God with those stats, and I just can't wait to get my hands on him. I hope he releases relatively soon. I know he wasn't part of the announcements for the pre-orders for this weekend, but I'm hoping we'll get him relatively soon as well. And when we do, I can't wait to paint him up. I think it's going to be a whole lot of fun. And last but certainly not least, from the Necrons, we got a huge preview of the Silent King and all of his rules, because oh my gosh, there's so many. We'll be going over those in more detail, like I said, next Saturday when we get our hands on the book and we can actually look at them in more detail. But it's a beautiful miniature. I have already pre-ordered mine. I don't know how quickly I'll be getting him built up, but I'm hoping relatively so because I'm very, very excited for that miniature. It's definitely the thing out of everything that's coming out that I have been the most excited to get my hands on. That wasn't just the rules, obviously, so that we could play the game, but mini-wise, like, that is the thing that I want the most. And I am so glad he's gonna finally be here, and we'll finally be able to look at all of his stats in full details later. The era of the two-wound Marine is now upon us, and we got a little bit more information about the Space Marine Codex this week as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we are getting. Characters are now going to be upgraded via points instead of CP, which I think is good, honestly. I think it's very interesting though, because that doesn't appear to be what they're doing for the Necrons based off of a community previews that we've been seeing. So it's going to be interesting to see if maybe that's just a Space Marine thing and exclusively a Space Marine thing, or if that's going to be folded out into other books or anything like that. But we'll see going forward. It will be very, very cool. Also, each of the upgraded characters is looking a lot better from their 8th edition equivalents. So that's looking very positive, because I know we saw some nerfs a little bit to some Space Marines recently, and it doesn't look like it's too bad or anything like that. We are still getting some very good upgrades for them. Make sure, like I said, to tune into Hobby Night next week, because we're going to be looking at those codexes, because we honestly didn't get a huge amount from the Space Marines book this week. I imagine we'll actually get a lot of that this coming week as we approach the Codex being out, but we'll see what comes forward, and you can definitely check out the full release of those Codexes on Hobby Night next week. We're gonna wrap this week up with a last look at the newest releases from McFarlan Toys for their Warhammer 40k line, where we're getting a partially painted Sister of Battle. She's gonna have some details that could be using some additional painting and everything that are some embellishments, but otherwise she does come in sort of the classic black, red, and white look, as well as an unpainted gray plastic Necron, which honestly is the one that I'm the most excited for. I think the sister looks great, honestly. Most of these toys that they've been doing for the Space Marine stuff, at least visually, have looked really cool, but the Necron one I find interesting in the same way that Bandai, I think it was, did that the Space Marine unpainted, and I want to actually get this Necron one if I can, specifically just to paint it up and have a large version of the color scheme that I'm doing for my actual, well, not my Necrons, they're my husband's Necrons, but the color scheme that we are doing for his Necrons, I actually think would look really cool on this figure, because it's just a blown up, Necron warrior and everything like that. So I might see if I can get a hold of that or something and maybe paint it up. It might be a cool challenge video or something like that. But that is it for the news. Let me know what you guys thought of all the various previews. And of course, join us next week for when we review the 2 codexes. And this Monday, we have a little special treat for you guys, so make sure to check back in then as well. I've been Angela, you've been watching Hobby Night. Thank you, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. See you guys next time.